Well, we're all so anxious for spring and tulips, and so I thought what we'd do today is to start with a tulip arrangement, not only for me to show anyone, but also for you to do. And they're pretty easy to do, and once you get started, it just creates such a beautiful bouquet. So I have a couple of tips for people to learn about the tulip. It's one of the very few flowers that grow after it's been cut. It continues to grow. Yes. And people oftentimes have a hard time, once they put them in a vase, the tulip grows up and then it comes over and they say, what happened to my arrangement? So we have a little tip to show to prevent that from happening, and it doesn't hurt the flower at all, and they still last as long. But so I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to put the bouquet together. And the tip for disallowing the tulip to grow any further than it is right now is to just put a little slice between the head of the tulip and the stem. And so for camera and for you, Celine, what I'm going to do is just go right in here and just make a little mark.
A little opening.
Opening like that. Not too deep, but you know, enough so that it goes into the flesh of the head of the tulip. And that's going to be it. And after that, the tulip won't grow anymore. For some reason, this little slit right between here just tells the tulip you're all done growing.
What happened? Does the air goes in and just stop the growing of the flower?
I think that it allows the water to go up the stem as far as here, but it won't go any further, and so it won't allow the stem to continue to grow. I'm a little befuddled, but it's an old trick that we've been doing for all these years. And the other thing about the tulip is that oftentimes there are leaves that are attached that are not as pretty as some of the other leaves. Some might be broken like this, or some might just be kind of hanging over a little too heavy for the stem. We want to leave a little bit of the foliage on, but if you see a piece that isn't pretty, just take it off. And then what we want to do is down at the base down here, sometimes there's like a little joint, and we want to just kind of skim that off, because when we put it in our arrangement, we don't want it catching into all the other flowers we're putting in.
Does the length of the tulips, like some have long necks, and is there a vase that you suggest, for example, so they don't fall?
Right.
A size that will keep them up?
Well, actually, you could put them in a taller vase than the one we're using today, but by scoring the edge of the top of the stem and the head of the tulip, it's going to prevent that from happening.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean now.
But one of the good points that you've brought up as well is that sometimes people put them in the vase, and they're kind of limp at first. You know, they might buy them and then they get home and they've been out of water for a while. That's okay, because the light in the room affects the way these grow, or the way they stand up, or the way they love to lift their little heads to the light. And so what you do is you put them in here, and if they look a little wimpy at first, just leave them overnight, because by the next morning they've taken water up again, and they've, you know, we've turned the lights off during the night, and they just kind of like stand up straight, and they
like
don't,
us, like us.
Right,
they wake up in the morning and they rise.
And the other thing I wanted to mention too is that we have this little flower food. And in this flower packet that people would get from their local florist, what you do is you open it up and you just pop it into your vase. If I were using a real small, like little bud vase, I would probably only put like a portion of this. But you can put the whole amount in. And as soon as you cut your flower and you put it into the water, it'll absorb it right away. And in this potion, is a flower food as well as a preservative. There's something that is an antibacterial that will kill the bacteria in the water, because water is just a natural friend to, when you have green stems and water, to bacteria. So that's why we ask people to often so what we're doing in here is
change the water.
Change the water. And if they change it every day, it is wonderful. And so with each of these, now I have gone ahead and scored the tops of all of these, just so it wouldn't take so long to make the arrangement, because it does take a few extra seconds to do. So what we're going to do with the tulips now is to just keep going to the center and out and all in a circle around our base.
Is it true, Nancy, when I heard that a few years ago about how to care about for tulips as well. Is it true that sometimes if you run out of that little preservative powder, that you can add Tylenol? Is that an old saying? Is that true?
You know, some people swear by that, by pennies, because of the copper and the mineral in the copper. Sometimes people put a little bit of sugar in the water, and that is a little food. There is some sort of sweet compound in a flower food, and then there's also an antibacterial that kills the bacteria, so that's what's in that powder. But you know, I think if it works, go ahead and do it. You know, it's not exactly what you know, what the professionals use, but I think the home remedies, a lot of what is packaged is from old home remedies. So
am I doing good?
You're
here?
doing great.
Do you?
How many do you have in there?
I have 2, 4, 6. I have to count them in French. Sorry.
This is good. We've got about 3 dozen. And if you notice, yours are a little smaller than mine. I picked the bigger ones for myself.
Of course. Okay, I'm the little apprentice here.
Actually, all of these come in from Holland. So they've come a long, long way in such a short time. And, you know, transportation is just marvelous these days.
How do they do that, by the way, to transport them over?
They do. They package them. I've been to Holland and seen the fields and fields and fields of tulips and a lot of the other bulb plants that they grow. And they have some seasons and where they are really, really popular, and other seasons where they're in kind of a dormant stage. So usually between like September and December, it's a little more difficult to get the tulips that we want. But it's for a very short time.
Yeah. Have you seen different colors as most that we see that I don't know if you import a certain color only, but have you seen some that you have not brought back, like a really specific color? Is that true that they have by 2 colors that are?
Well, one thing is that if they have any new varieties out that are different colors than what we're used to seeing, then they probably haven't grown them to an enormous extent yet. And so they may be a little more unavailable yet until they become really popular, until they actually really plant the fields up with them. So they'll develop new varieties, and they'll see how they go, probably within their area before they start shipping them out.
How do you call when not experimental phase, but they're
right. Pretty much that's it. Like the blue flower, for example, they've been trying to do the blue flower for so many years, and they haven't perfected it yet. You know, they keep saying, "Oh, we think we're onto it. We think we're onto it," and the closest they get is more of a lavender.
I see.
You know, but
well,
how are we doing over there?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, you just keep working it. And I mean, it's just so beautiful with the natural foliage. You don't need to add any more, you know, foliage than
compared to
comes right on the
other flowers. Sometimes we need to add up a little greenery over, but these have they kind of fold yours. Well,
yours are coming along. They're coming, Celine. Don't give up on them.
I will not. I think I'll look at yours and I'll finish one later. That's very nice, beautiful tulip.
Isn't this pretty? And we just have a few more.
Okay.
And you know, that's beautiful just like it is. I mean, we really don't have to add much of anything else. But because there's a flower that's in right now, and it's called acacia. Or actually, it's called Genestra. Acacia is right around the corner too, but this is, and it's also yellow. But this is called Genestra, and it's very seasonal. And so I wanted to show it off, and here it is.
Oh,
isn't
I'll put mine right here, and we'll concentrate on yours.
Okay. Okay. It's coming along very nice.
Thank you.
I'll have to finish it and take it home with you. Anyway, the fragrance of this is just lovely.
Oh,
and isn't it beautiful?
Yes.
And the tulips themselves aren't fragrant, really. I mean, a lot of flowers tend to be a little bit fragrant when they're this fresh. They're so crunchy fresh, but they're not. So if oftentimes people will say, "Oh, what have we got here that would be, for my aunt who is in a nursing home and she's a little bit blind, or she really loves the fragrance of flowers." And so what have we got? Well, this Genestra would be the thing to offer, because it is just lovely. It's not overpowering.
No, it's very delicate.
Kind of delicate and lacy. And so sometimes what I like to do, once I have all my flowers in there, is to create like a little, I call it a little collar.
Yeah.
Around,
I like that.
around the bouquet. Yeah, right. And maybe you'd like to do that. See, what I do is I just kind of plant that in there, and then just keep turning the vase. And that's right.
Right, it's nice because you can spread these into.
You can. They go a long way. So if you have one or two big sprays, you can do a whole arrangement just by kind of clipping it down like this.
I think I'll cut. Or unless, do you put some all around, or you put some in the?
And we could add more to the middle too. So here we've created our little collar, right?
Love it.
And if we wanted to, what I do is see how there's many stems on here. So I would just like pick a height that I think is going to work its way down, at least to get a little bit of water. Yeah. And then pop it up here in the middle.
That changes a lot. It brings some
it brings the rest of the flowers out, doesn't it?
It does.
And it really offers such a beautiful kind of springy look, whether it's springtime or not. It's that wonderful natural feel.
Look at that.
Okay. So just
good job.
Turn it around and say, voila. Maybe we'll set this on the shelf to be seen over here.
We're good?
Yep, that was great.
Super.
I'll put these down here.
Okay, I'll put them in the water for
Did I miss a couple? You were doing well. Yes, and look at how pretty the stems are down here. And that's the thing I didn't mention, which I should have mentioned for the camera.
The crisscross of it?
Well, the crisscross, as well as keeping the foliage out of the water, reduces the amount of bacteria in the water.
Why don't we do this? I'm going to zoom the camera on near the bottom of the basin, and you can just pick up one thing I forgot to mention.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So shall I pick up yours while we're finishing yours?
Okay. Because
because you were coming along.
We want to move on to another
another
arrangement.
Let's get rid of all of this.
Yeah. So that's nice, because when we said when she Nancy said et voilà, then we can go right back and add the information.
Yes. So
okay, that's good.
Here we are.
So
we're back to where we were.
Yep, I pick it up with.
Pick it up.
And
Celine, you did a really good job, and.
Celine, you did a beautiful job on here. I just love it. And we're almost done. One of the things I forgot to mention was that because we stripped the foliage off of the bottom, and because a tulip doesn't have a lot of foliage, it's a really good thing to make sure there's no foliage below the water line.
Oh,
because the foliage just kind of increases the bacteria levels in the water. And so all of the clear glass vase arrangements that we do, we really remove all of the foliage off of the stems, so the water stays freshest longer.
I understand. That's a good idea, and I like those little curvy ones, so
yes,
they don't touch the nothing touches the water now.
See how beautiful those stems are. They're so beautifully limey green and fresh and crisp, and like that. And you can always just take your hands, bring them into the arrangement when you're done, and just kind of fluff them out a little bit. We shouldn't be too afraid of them. They're delicate, but they're not so delicate that you can't really work with them like that.
This is my first one. I love it.
2 thumbs up.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome.